Good afternoon all. So today we are going to discuss the 11th chapter, light, shadows and reflections. This is the chapter in physics which we are going to discuss today. So let us study the light, the shadows and their reflections. What are their effects? So in today's class we will study what is light, what are luminous objects, what are transparent, opaque and translucent objects, what exactly shadows are, a pinhole camera, mirrors and reflections. So, what is this light? If you enter a dark room, can you see anything? So, without light, you cannot see anything. Light helps us to see objects. So now, as you can see on the screen, what are luminous objects and what are non-luminous objects? So what are these luminous objects? You can see at the corner, right hand corner, there is the bulb, right? So this bulb, when you switch on the current, it glows. So it emits light of its own, that is, it produces light, right? The next one you see. If you see the sun, it produces its own light, it emits its own light. So those objects that produce or that emit light of their own, we call them as the luminous objects. Whereas now in the picture, you can see shoes, right? A pair of shoes. Does it emit its own light? No, it is not possible. But how can we see the shoes? We can see the shoes with the help of light. When we put the light, we can see the pair of these shoes, right? Similarly, if you see the chair, in that case also it does not emit light of its own. So those objects that emit light of their own, we call them as luminous objects. And those objects that do not emit light on their own, we call them as the non-luminous objects. So how can we see the light? When the sun, in the picture you can see when sunlight falls on the flower, okay? So the flower will reflect sunlight in all direction, and sunlight reflected by the flowers, a part of the sunlight, it enters our eyes, and that is why we are able to see the object. When sunlight falls on any object, that is light falls on any object, the object reflects the light in all directions. A part of this light, it enters our eyes and hence we can see the object. So next, we had studied in the previous class, chapter number 4, about transparent, translucent and opaque objects. So what is this transparent? Transparent means we can see through it clearly. It is allowing light to pass through it. Such objects we call them as the transparent object. What are these translucent objects? Translucent objects, we can see through them but not clearly. It allows light to pass through it partially. You can see it in the picture, right? Opaque. What are these opaque objects? We cannot see anything. It does not allow light to pass. You can see in the first picture, the cup or the mug. Okay, you can see it is transparent. Light can pass through it. The second one, you can see the second picture of the mug. Partially light can pass. Whereas in opaque, light cannot pass at all. So these are the three differences between transparent, translucent and opaque objects. So then what are these shadows and how are they formed? Shadows are formed when an opaque object comes in the path of the light. Always shadows are not formed. When light passes through transparent and translucent subjects, shadows are not formed usually. Shadows are formed only when light passes through opaque objects. So you can see in the picture over here. The ball is coming in the way of the light, and that's why Since the ball is opaque, it produces a shadow. No image is formed, and that's why shadow is formed. Then, in case of the shadows, you always require a screen. Shadows can be seen only on a screen. You can see the picture, right? You can make different kind of shapes of animals on the wall. Only if the screen is present it can be done. Otherwise it is not possible. Similarly, for the formation of shadows, the ground, walls, other surfaces, they can act as the screens. If the screen is not present, sometimes the walls, the ground, etc., they can act as the screen. Shadows are not having any color, right? If you keep a red color apple, no red color shadow is formed. The shadow is of the same color. It is dark, right? So now we are going to study how to make a pinhole camera. Okay, so what is exactly this pinhole camera, right? So this pinhole camera, it is used to view the objects. Okay, so for this you have to take two boxes so that one can slide into another with no gap between them. Okay, like in the picture A you can see. Then what you have to do? You have to make a small hole in the middle of the opposite face of the larger box. In the picture A, you can see a hole is being made. Then what you do? You have to cover this opening square in the box with a tracing paper. That becomes a translucent screen. You can see in the B picture, the face of the pinhole, it is covered with a translucent screen, that is a tracing paper. Then what you do? You have to slide the smaller box inside the larger one with the hole in such a way that the side with the tracing paper is inside it, right? So as shown in the picture, you have to slide the other box. So holding the pinhole camera, look through the open face of the smaller box, and you should use a piece of black cloth to cover your head and the pinhole camera. Now if you look at distant objects through this, in the presence of the sunshine, you can see the different moving objects, okay, through this camera. Similarly, you can see the image of the sun also, right, with using this pinhole camera. So you can see how this pinhole camera, how it is made. First what is done? The first box is taken, a pinhole is made. Then the pinhole in the second box, at the place where the pinhole is there, okay, you have to make a translucent cover for that. And then you have to observe it through the smaller box. You have to cover this box with black paper. Then only you can observe the objects. You can see how it looks. This is the way that the pinhole camera it usually looks, right? And this is the way it looks from inside. The bigger box and the smaller box. So similar to this pinhole cameras, while looking through the pinhole cameras, remember one thing, never directly look at the sun because it will damage the eyes. Now in case of natural pinhole camera, when we pass under a tree, we observe natural patches of light under it, right? So what are these? These are the pinhole images of the trees. When you walk through the road or when you walk under the trees, you can see natural patches of light. This is so these trees, the leaves of these trees, they act as the natural pinhole camera, right? So that is the importance of these. Similarly, in the leaf also you can make a natural pinhole camera. Small hole you make. Sunlight will pass through this hole, right? So that acts as a natural pinhole camera. So related to the formation of shadows and images. Is it possible if you take two pipes and you bend one pipe? Look at the picture A and B. In the picture A, you can see that the boy is looking through a pipe pointed towards the candle. The pipe is straight one. And in the picture B, the boy is looking through the pipe which is curved one. So in which case can he look at the candle clearly, if the pipe is straight or if the pipe is curved? So the boy can look at the candle very easily if the pipe is straight. Okay. If the pipe is curved, what will happen? It is not clearly visible. Right? So what does it suggest? This suggests that light travels only in a straight path. Right? But that is the importance of this light. Light travels in a straight line. You can observe the images clearly if light is traveling in a straight path. Mirrors and reflection. So when you look in a mirror, what you see is the reflection of your face. Okay. So we can also see the reflection of other objects. Sometimes we can see the reflection of trees and buildings in water. So from all this, we understand the importance of light, and we understood related to some of the qualities of light, right? So we will be discussing further about this chapter in the online class. Okay, so waiting for you in the online class. Thank you.